Joining me here at the UP Summit is Adam Goldstein, the CEO and co-founder of Archer Aviation. It's great to speak with you.
Thank you. Great to be here.
And you have some stuff on demonstration here.
Yes, we have an aircraft inside the main hangar, and it's always fun to show it off to the world.
Yeah, and you've had some news recently, including a new deal with Japan for air taxis just earlier this week. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so the aircrafts have gotten to a point where they've become quite mature, and now I think the world is recognizing this. And so a lot of the regulations in place, and now you're starting to see different countries get involved. And most recently, at Osaka, we announced a deal with the city and our partnership, which is called Soracle, which is a joint venture with Japan Airlines and Sumitomo.
I guess, how does it speak to the rollout as we see it globally and the countries that are leaning in and adopting the technology the fastest?
Well, the FAA created the category, and I think much of the world is watching what happens in America and how the FAA really treats this. But at the same time, a lot of the other countries want to be involved, and they want to be, leaning forward in bringing advanced air mobility to market. And so, on one hand, you're kind of watching and seeing what the FAA is doing. On the other hand, they also want to put the infrastructure in place and really start to get the cities ready to go. So, President Trump announced the executive order, which really helped fast track a lot of the process in the U.S., and I think that's going to lead to more and more of these countries getting involved.
How meaningful was that executive order to Archer?
Oh, it was a really big deal, and it was especially a big deal because we need a way to really centralize timelines and dates. And so what they did was really create a pathway for us to get going in the U.S. So there's a timeline, and the goal is for next summer we'll start flying the aircrafts in the U.S. in these different cities, kind of point-to-point routes, very high margins of safety, and really start to show the country, gain community acceptance on what these aircrafts can do.
And you're already test flying your eVTOLs.
Yes, so we fly the aircrafts nearly every day in California. We started flying in Abu Dhabi, and I think you'll see more of that as the year progresses.
Yeah. I think even maybe scoring a new record just recently with your Midnight aircraft.
Yeah, so we've been flying the aircrafts further and further and then higher and higher.
Okay.
So actually, we recently just hit 10,000 feet, which is actually really high for these aircrafts. They're non-pressurized, and so we like to show what these aircrafts can do, what they're capable of. But on an everyday use, they'll really be flying closer to 500 feet to 1,500 feet off the ground, where helicopters fly, but the aircrafts are quite capable.
And there will be pilots in the aircraft. When does the time come, and maybe I'm jumping way ahead of the rest of this conversation here, that we actually start seeing this autonomously?
Well, the autonomy actually works today, and so we fly the aircrafts autonomously all the time.
Okay.
It's more of the world being ready for that, consumers accepting that, the regulation being in place, and the infrastructure being in place. So for example, if you're flying an autonomous aircraft today and air traffic control wants to reroute you, who are they talking to? How does that work? What are the rules behind that? If you have to land in some type of emergency sense, how does that work with the ground-based infrastructure? So there's a lot of real-world issues that we have to go solve, but the pure technology side is actually fairly evolved.
You're the partner for the Olympics.
Yes.
So we're going to be seeing these fly for the Olympics?
Oh yeah, that's the goal. So the Olympics was really a concept. The LA28 Olympics was a concept that the FAA actually put out back in 2022. So they called it Innovate 28. They said, we want to see these aircrafts used in masses at one city on kind of a big stage. And so they picked the LA28 Games. And it also acted for the industry as a way to say, by this date, we need everything in place. We need not just the rules done, but we need the infrastructure partners to build the necessary charging equipment and takeoff and landing zones. We needed all the different supply chain partners to finish up all their work too. And all of us coming together for one date to show these aircrafts at scale. And I think from the Archer perspective, it should be an amazing show.
Will you be actually, does that mean you're rolling out service and you'll be, I guess just as importantly, what does that mean in terms of a business model?
Yeah, well, the goal is to move VIPs, athletes, and fans in and around the games. So there's a whole network that's being designed around the Olympic venues, around the airports to move people around, and I think it'll be a way to showcase to the world, what these aircrafts can do with, a lot of the global dignitaries, in one place. So that'll be really exciting. But Archer does sell aircraft. That is our core business model, and so we will kind of use that also as a way to kind of showcase and advertise these aircrafts to all the potential future customers.
Oh, interesting. So you basically manufacture, you develop, you manufacture, and then you sell these aircraft to others that will roll out the services in different cities and whatnot?
Yes. So I do think over the long term, air taxi is an incredible opportunity and will become very big, but I think we have to be realistic on the timelines of how that will roll out. And so I think about it as you have to earn the right to build a big air taxi network. And so we'll sell aircrafts as a way to generate revenue and cash flow and slowly build up the air taxi, sort of the Archer network air taxi over time. So it's likely something of a multi-decade long journey before there's real liquidity across the networks.
An event like this is interesting because you get to see some of the different aircraft that are either under development or even potentially competing in this emerging marketplace. How do you think about the competitive landscape?
The good news is, the industry has largely consolidated to a few kind of core players. And so it used to be 1,000, and now there's kind of more like a handful. And that allows a lot of the focus of the regulators to work on just a few. It allows the infrastructure partners to build standards, charging standards, and just the different work that has to get done just around a few, which allows it all to progress. And so I think the industry it's been competitive at times, but it also is trying to come together as one to really build a more friendly environment to actually launch these aircrafts. In example, Archer buys the charging equipment from Beta. So Beta is could be viewed as a competitor. I more view them as a friend, and so they're one of the partners that we're working with to help stand up the whole industry together.
So how do you see this ecosystem evolving then?
I think there will be a time to compete, and there will be a time for that. But I think now, I think it is important that the industry does try to come together and get these aircrafts across the finish line and build out this new ecosystem. And I think that's starting to happen. But it's, of course, it's always a competitive world out there, a competitive environment, but we're all trying.
Commercial versus defense and other government applications. How are you thinking about that?
So a lot of what we talk about is the civil application, because that's kind of the sexy thing where you can see these aircrafts and people can envision themselves flying around. It's like, oh, who wants to drive 90 minutes to the airport, Manhattan to JFK? That's kind of brutal. What if I could fly there in 5 minutes? And you can see yourself doing that. But the defense applications, I do think, will actually be quite large. And I think over the next decade, you're going to see very significant defense applications for these types of aircrafts. And the reason is we can build much lower cost aircrafts that are very capable of doing similar things that the existing rotorcraft fleet can do and new things that the rotorcraft fleet can't do. They have a low thermal signature, they have a low acoustic signature. And so when you really start to look at the benefits of what these aircrafts can do, and then you pair that against the conflicts today, like the Ukraine, where you're seeing drones, they call autonomous and attritable vehicles, kind of starting to really dominate those conflicts. It's very easy to understand how eVTOLs can become, or hybrid versions of eVTOLs can become very important for the future conflicts.
And you're garnering some of those contracts on the government side.
So today we have a partnership with Anduril, so a defense tech company based in Southern California. And so we've announced we're building a hybrid aircraft that will be autonomous. And the partnership with Anduril really evolves around trying to create this new category for defense and building that up together. Great.
Well, Adam, I appreciate it. Adam Goldstein of Archer Aviation. It's great to speak with you.
Appreciate it.